Now that RFK Jr. is the Secretary of Health in America, his views on vaccines are getting some attention.
The conspiracy theory that he's most known for is that vaccines cause autism.
The video we're responding to today is from a comedy show, so clearly the arguments presented aren't exactly the strongest versions out there. But they're incredibly dumb arguments, and unfortunately, judging by the laughter in the video and the comments section under the video, a lot of people actually believe them. Also, this video has raked in 1 million views in a very short time span. So it's definitely worth taking the time to respond to. We'll start by talking about this word conspiracy theory. RFK has actually given some excellent comments on the way this word is used in his Senate hearing.
I got a real quick question for you. Are you a conspiracy theorist?
That is a pejorative, Senator, that's applied to me, mainly to keep me from asking difficult questions of powerful interests. I was told that I was a conspiracy theorist. That label was applied to me because I said that the vaccines, the COVID vaccine, didn't prevent transmission and it wouldn't prevent infection, when the government was telling people, Americans, that it would. I was saying that because I was looking at the monkey studies in May of 2020. I was called a conspiracy. Now everybody admits it. I was called a conspiracy theorist because I said red dye caused cancer. And now FDA has acknowledged that and banned it. I was called a conspiracy theorist because I said fluoride lowered IQ. Last week, JAMA published a meta-review of 87 studies saying that there's a direct inverse correlation between IQ loss.
All right, so I'm going to assume
I could go on for about a week.
So is there any one of them that you can say, you got me? That really was a conspiracy theory? Or are you in a position to submit for the record? I think it'd just be helpful for every one of these narratives for you to submit that maybe for the record.
This use of the word conspiracy theory really bugs me. The word literally means a theory about a conspiracy being carried out. And a conspiracy is when people carry out a devious covert plan. It's, if governments are doing it, it's an abuse of power. And we need to be able to talk about and expose abuses of power when they are happening. And if we use the same term that refers to conspiracy theorists and conspiracy theorists as a pejorative, it then becomes harder for people to expose when these bad things are going on, and we need to be able to do that. So there's this meme that was posted in a Facebook group I'm in, and I was discussing with some of the skeptics in there what they think, what this means to them, and I was struggling to get out of them any clear how this is a useful way of defining that word, because basically this use of the word defines it as a fringe lunatic idea. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're someone who believes fringe lunatic ideas. A conspiracy theory is something you don't want to be caught believing because it makes you a fringe lunatic. And so clearly there's an inverse relationship between critical thinking and believing in fringe lunatic ideas, which this meme points out. But that's tautologically true. It's not a useful category or distinction to make. And clearly, abuses of power do happen, and we need to be able to talk to them. So, yeah, right off the bat, this video is not getting off to a good start because it's got this muddy, unuseful category that makes it harder for us to have clear discussions about these abuses of power when they happen.
During his first news conference as the nation's top health official, he addressed rising autism rates while calling the disease preventable.
So, new research has come out that sheds light on a potential cause of autism. They've found high levels of aluminum in the brains of autistic people, and they've done mouse studies showing that aluminum can trigger autism-like symptoms. So, from all of this, it appears that autism may be caused by immune activation in the brain, and aluminum might be the cause of this. Aluminum is added to the vaccines to stimulate the immune system. And I have a theory that it's because, some people get it, not others, because some people's systems are better at detoxifying heavy metals than others. So the ones that aren't good at detoxifying, they accumulate these heavy metals in the brain, which causes more harm. Or maybe it's that some people just react to the immune stimulation from aluminum more than others. So the same amount of aluminum in the brain triggers more of an autoimmune response, and they end up with this lifelong immune activation in the brain causing autism symptoms. I'll link to a Substack article in the video description that goes into this research in detail. Now, before you say that's not real evidence, you should know this article is packed with links to peer-reviewed scientific studies to back up the claims that are made, and the article explains it all very clearly. It's very well written. It's quite long, but if you want to understand the subject clearly, you should do some reading. And yeah, finally, the final point I'll make in this section is there has never been a single study showing that it's safe to inject aluminum into children. It's never happened. The one study people always point to as proving vaccines don't cause autism is done with the MMR vaccine, which doesn't even contain aluminum. And it's also given to children at an age where they've already received multiple other vaccines which do contain aluminum. So there's no way this study can be considered to prove aluminum is not a cause of autism.
Autism destroys families. These are kids who will never pay taxes.
Wait, that's what you're gonna lead with? Like that? That's the big tragedy for you? These poor kids will never know the joy of attaching a Schedule K to a 1040A.
I get the joke there. Paying taxes is definitely not one of the joys of life, but the point RFK made is pretty clear. Someone who can't pay taxes is in a pretty crippled state to where they cannot be a productive member of society. So whatever condition is causing that is pretty horrible, and if we could prevent or cure that, that would be a fantastic thing. Another thing that bugs me about how language is used around these issues is the fact that the term autism is used to refer to what I think should be broken down into at least two different conditions. It used to be that we had autism and Asperger's, but they've removed those distinctions, and now it's just autism spectrum disorders. I myself am diagnosed with Asperger's. Even within that, I'm considered a high-functioning Asperger's, and I guess they removed it because they thought it was offensive, but my theory is they removed it so they can lump people like me and Elon Musk along with people who have very severe neurological conditions to where they can't even toilet themselves and can't even, they're non-verbal. And I think these are two extremely different conditions. I think people like Einstein and Nikola Tesla were probably autistic, and we, of course we didn't have the diagnostic criteria for that, and we can't necessarily know, but they seem to have a lot of the symptoms of, Asperger's. And so that's just like, I think, a different brain type of people who are more interested in systems than people. And that's obviously not pathological, but it's these severe conditions where people are not able to function independently. That's what we need to prevent or understand what's causing, understand the cause of. So there's very clearly a difference between the type of autism that Elon Musk has, where he's one of the most successful people in the world. He's certainly one of the richest and is a highly capable individual. And the kind of condition people get where, people watch their child go from making eye contact and communicating to regressing into an autistic state where they go backwards on milestones. They stop making eye contact. They lose the ability to talk. These children, in some cases, grow up to be nonverbal and unable to toilet themselves. That's the kind of thing he's referring to with the moniker of people who will never pay taxes. These are tragedies. These are things that we should prevent if possible.
By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
His timeline there seems ambitious, but recent advances in research, particularly around environmental triggers like aluminum exposure and immune system activation during pregnancy, have significantly narrowed the field of potential causes. There's a growing scientific consensus that could soon lead to actionable prevention strategies, particularly for severe forms of autism involving significant neurological impairments.
I mean, why are you even pretending to study it? We all know you're gonna blame vaccines, okay? This whole thing is more rigged than a golf championship at Mar-a-Lago.
His so-called joke there is dismissing an entire category of causes for vaccines. The scientifically responsible thing to do is to actually look at the evidence and figure it out. it's funny that he's talking about pretending to study to refer to a person who can quote from memory multiple scientific peer-reviewed studies on this matter, and probably has studied this more than anyone who's attempted to debunk him. Notable incidences where Peter Hotez was invited to debate him on the Joe Rogan Experience and declined, even when multiple people came forward to donate millions of dollars. I can't remember what the number got up to, maybe $2 million to a charity of his choice if he just showed up for the debate, and Peter Hotez refused to show up. The scientific engagement with RFK Jr.'s work is disappointing, to say the least. So rather than categorically dismissing concerns about vaccines and autism, the scientifically responsible thing to do is to examine the data, especially the recent data that's come in. So, like I said, there's a Substack article in the description below where you can learn about this research in detail. It's filled with links to actual peer-reviewed scientific papers so you can cross-check the claims. And yeah, just a quick summary of this new evidence. And I guess some of the evidence is probably a bit older, but they found high levels of aluminum in the brains of autistic people. For a long time, they've known autistic, like severe autists, had swelling in their brains, which is very likely caused by a immune activation in the brain, prolonged immune activation. They found immune activation during pregnancy. The mother having immune activation can lead to autism in the child, and they have been able to trigger autistic symptoms in mice by administering aluminum to them. So yeah, and also they've never shown aluminum is safe to inject into children. So all of this is to say we should look into this a lot deeper. And of course, let's just, before we wrap this up, one last objection is, oh, so you're saying we should just not give vaccines to any of the children? No, that's not what's being said here. What's being said here is we should study this stuff properly. Maybe we can develop safer vaccines. Maybe we figure out that the risk is worth it. But the important thing is that we actually get the information right, so we're making informed decisions and possibly developing safer treatments. I'll wrap the video up here. I don't even know if YouTube's going to let me post this video. If you like this sort of stuff, help us out in the algorithm by commenting, hitting the like button, and subscribing, and I will catch you in the next one.